Hello, my name is Noel #Xastron, and this is Everspace, a procedurally generated game where the goal is to fly through space until you reach a endpoint, and doing stuff along the way, such as collecting resources, fighting enemies, upgrading your aircraft, and doing several runs and die a lot. And as such, you have several aircraft to pick from, layouts, and a little bit of everything else, really. That's easy, right? So engine, of course, you have several difficulties, and they do a lot of ways. And since this is rogue in nature, it means you will die, and you will die a lot. But it comes with a photo mode and some of the most beautiful scenery in a space game ever. With a deep and rich universe, which is essentially just jumping from arena to arena and having to deal with all the things you find on the way, like mining, fighting, and faction wars as well. Collecting resources in order to craft onboard items. So here you can see I am looking for the jump. I'm following the signal strength to find the jump beacon you have to disable. Here, for example, there is a wreck. And naturally, you have 6 degrees of freedom. But it's also depending on which modules and glyphs you have. There is a timer and a scaling difficulty, so it will become harder and harder the more you it will become more and more difficult over time. And based on the map you can see here, this is most likely it is just a friendly space station. Or rather, it's not friendly, but it's not aggressive. So in the right hand corner there is an indicator on how close you are to the jump suppressor. Because until the suppressor has been disabled, you cannot move on to another sector. And yes, it's very easy to some ships have no arm, have no shields, some have. It's very easy to accidentally crush yourself on rocks, stones, and debris, especially when you're during combat, when you're trying to do fancy space maneuvers. And of course, almost every run is different. many different encounters, different fights, different scenery. And yes, a little closer. Of course, since this is apparently the first jump in a long while, it seems like wherever that beacon is there was not a lot of enemies to go around. But this structure over here should no. Oh wait, never mind, that's all wrong. And here is a outlaw base. Outlaws is one of the factions in the game, and they do usually a pain, as they don't give a crap about my noble cause for survival. The music is also it's nothing memorable, but it gets the job done, and it is dynamic. And naturally, there we go, this is a jump beacon. So, this is one of those you need to look at when you're close enough. Then to fill the bar, and that should unlock the jump point, which means you then aim for it, wait, and once it's full, you warp to the next sector, where you get a choice. You can see here there are different choices. Here there is an encounter with someone or something. And the more you upgrade... But that would be spoilerish. And now for combat. Each weapon has a range and uses energy. And different classes of ships have a different pain threshold. And there is some degree of auto-aim on lock-on on the weapon. Also, some ships have more stuff than other ships. And naturally, I have also a bunch of missiles, which can be, which I can make more of. apparently a bunch of Ukar. They are the main protagonists. These vicious alien bastards has only one goal in mind. Doing whatever they can to destroy me and will randomly appear. And yes, the game know you will eventually die, so they even have an achievement for it. And naturally, in order to repair, you go into this menu, and of course you have a bunch of systems that that can become damaged and will impede you in very nasty ways. And naturally, I can also go in here and produce missiles and all other stuff. From blueprints I unlock by, well, just playing. And the credits you collect is used to buy upgrades between each run, making the gameplay easier and more digestible. And naturally, I have no idea what the deal with outlaws is. They are just all over the place, being a nuisance. As you know, they're outlaws. Oh, of course, I must mention now that every jump uses fuel. Fuel is a limited quantity resource that can only be that has to be looted from some and collected from somewhere. For example, here is a Hulk, a space Hulk with a com hub. So if you fly close enough and look at it, and do like this, and it will highlight all the interesting, scan the whole sector, highlighting anything interesting. No, the thing when the jumping from system to system gets really interesting is once you realize the jump suppressor is on top of a capital ship. But yes, don't think everything is just space fighters. Oh no. As a player, you may not play the biggest vehicle in the world, but the Ukar and such have no such concerns whatsoever. So here's some place. Fuel. Here's some credits, some more fuel. And you can see here in the left corner, the fuel is at 95. The max on this one is 100. So yeah, there is a plot here. It's a very good, it's a very fun plot. It's an interesting plot with some really nasty encounters along the way. If you screw up some of the subquests, you can do them again in another run. Here, for example, is a trader. You can go in here and buy, repair. And the GMB is generally peaceful until you piss them off, and then they will just attack you relentlessly like everything else. There's also a bunch of outlaws here. And that a ticking sound is the sound of lock-on, because, for example here, right, there's a credit transport. Is oh wait, never mind, that's just a whole bunch of cars. Otherwise known as guilt-free targets. As if its mark is red, its only goal is to make you dead. So yeah. As you can see, the fighting is a multi-directional thing, where you can slide in any given direction. Also, you will notice that the Scout and the Ukars are not on the same side. Naturally, I have 2 extra runes, so which one of the is a secret unlock, which prevents certain enemy things from prevents the big ass ships in pursuit to jump in and ambush me. And yes, there's even an in-universe, in-game excuse for why you have to do so many loops. So it's a roguelite with a justification. Of course, each sector may or may not have a nasty side effect or 5 or some special environmental conditions. Of course, and if each sector has a jump gate, which you have to fly towards and fly through. So needless to say, the voice acting is good, the graphics are fantastic, the gameplay is fun, sometimes a little bit frustrating because you are going to die eventually. There is even an achievement for dying the first time. But hey, gamepad support. And good graphics and happy fun times. And a booster that uses way too much energy. Of course, the first time you jump into a new scenery you jump into in a new sector, you have no idea what you are going to expect or see. Oh, and now a whole bunch of enemies have triggered. And every now and then,
cross another one off.
There are characters you encounter, and the player will also talk. He also has an AI companion on board that keeps making. Of course, there are multiple ways to view everything as well. As you will notice, one of the more irritating things you can deal with are drones. Like this leech drone. But hey, that's a great thing with having a shield. Oh, and every now and then there will also be mines all over the place, and they can be easy to deal with, but they're proximity based. However, they are mines. And getting hit by a mine ain't fine. Experience is also nice enough to, mark when something is fully mined. Explosives aside. And of course, once you're close enough, it will mark interesting stuff on the map. Yeah. And here, a bunch of scouts jumped in. And yes, the scrap may not sound very amazing, but it is an important resource, and no resource is a waste to have here. Naturally, space is big. Really, really big. And apparently a ace spawned as well. Ace drops keys. Of course, we notice that the notice that, of course, since this is a enemy A's, is incredible and a lot more difficult to kill it. How the challenge comes from the fact that shooting uses energy. Energy takes time to refill. Of course, since this was a mini boss of sorts, it drops a key which unlocks a chest where at some place in one of these systems you will find a abandoned space base where you can use a sad key to open. And in here apparently I found a space creature. There are credits on a quest to scan some weird-ass living things in space. Just don't question why. It's just the way it is. And yeah, if you like what you see, then you see what you like. And that it happened to be a freeform space a game about flying in space like a fool. And fighting ferocious fiends and meeting weird and quirky strangers wanting to kill you. Well, and dodging missiles. However, it is possible to, you know, make things work more in your favor. Now, if there's one thing I would complain about, it's probably the fact that you cannot unlock. It seems like you cannot unlock other factions' fighters. Ah, would you look at that? They are busy fighting. Then there's a thing I have to mention. That is the simple nature of the game, is that it doesn't care how something dies. As long as it's... So, put it in a different term, right? If you can trick enemies to fighting each other and they die, you can loot them without consequence. And if that requires you to use these convenient yellow these mining people to do the job for you, and so be it. And if some of the yellow fighters eventually dies, then, well, you will get loot from those as well. So, no matter, it is a win-win. Also, because any fight you're not actually taking damage in is one where you are going to...
We've got company.
And here is an Ocar Corvette. You know, I have to highlight one of these. But yeah, like I said, sometimes the... sometimes big ass ships will appear. And what better thing ways to than just make everyone else do the job.
Another to Stardust.
And there was a computer in... And that was the voice of the... of the onboard AI companion who got picked up somewhere along the way. He's a snarky fellow that keeps the dynamic between the two, between the pilot and the computer interesting. Of course, the first few runs, if you succeed, it becomes less chatty. But I just did it right, because I've played this game a lot and successfully completed a lot of runs. But yeah, this is Everspace in a nutshell. You can get it on Steam if you want to, and you should, and hopefully they will be done with the sequel soon. Because that one is also awesome.